So it's not exactly a here we go, but Liam Rosenior has verbally agreed that he's going to become the next Chelsea manager. Are we in for a rough ride, or could this underdog surprise us all? Bienvenue, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And I'm going to throw some little bits of French in today's episode, because why not? Because he's coming from France, we're connected to a French team, I speak a little bit of French, we'll just keep it fruity, right? But guys, before we get into it, if you're enjoying the content and would like to see more, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. Okay, I literally just stopped filming the video and I've just seen the news that Liam Rosenior has been appointed on a contract until 2032. Sorry. So I will continue with the rest of the video as I still think it's all relevant, but just as an addendum, just as a quick addendum, Liam Rosenior has been appointed for Chelsea, and enjoy the rest of the video. Alors, du coup, on y va. On va parler de Liam Rosenior de Strasbourg au Chelsea. Alors, so it's an announcement. It's not a here we go. Like I say, he hasn't actually signed the contract and stuff yet, but he has come out in a press conference in France en Strasbourg, and I'm actually glad he did that, because what he could have done was just left through the back door and been like, "I'll throw you," do you know what I mean? And not kind of given the due respect needed to Strasbourg. But he has chosen to go back and face the music when it comes to the French team that he is trading in, whatever you would like to call it. So there's a lovely big article on The Athletic that we're going to read through. This basically came out about an hour ago, so I'm going to read through it. We're going to read through it together, and then we're going to have a little chat about Rosenior, what he could bring to the club, what the potential pitfalls might be, and how do we feel about it. Right, so The Athletic article, not a hugely long one, but it's got the good information in it. Liam Rosenior has confirmed he has verbally agreed to leave Strasbourg and to become the head coach of Chelsea, saying he could not turn down the opportunity. Strasbourg and Chelsea are owned by Blueco, a consortium led by American businessman Todd Boehly and Clearlake Capital, and don't we all know it? As reported by The Athletic on Sunday, the 41-year-old flew to London to continue talks alongside Strasbourg president Mark Keller and sporting director David Villa. He flew back to Strasbourg on Monday and addressed his future at a press conference the following day. "I was given permission to speak to one of the biggest sporting clubs in the world," Rosenior said via BBC Sport. "It looks like I'm going to be the next manager of that football club." Of course, he's talking about us, Chelsea. Rosenior called his 18 months with Strasbourg the best of my professional career, and said that he has not yet officially signed a contract with Chelsea, though he has agreed verbally with Chelsea, and that it will probably go through in the next few hours. So we can probably expect to see a here we go. If I don't even know if Romano does that, but we'll see the official announcement later today. "I have had interest from many clubs, including Champions League clubs, which I have always been open with to Mark Keller and our ownership," he added. "I will love this club for the rest of my life, but I cannot turn down Chelsea." Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Frank Lampard signing. It's not a signing because he's whatever. The hiring, the appointment, where it was like Frank Lampard was doing a reasonably decent job at Derby. He was woefully underqualified for the job at the time, but he took it because, the truth be told, when a club like Chelsea come knocking, you can't really, can you? Rosenior added that he would be joined at Chelsea by his Strasbourg assistants Khalifa Cisse and Justin Walker, as well as analyst Ben Warner. The Athletic reported on January the 1st that Rosenior was the leading contender to replace Enzo Maresca, who had been sacked by Chelsea earlier in the day, less than 2 years into his contract. So the assistant thing's interesting, isn't it? Because I did see some news knocking around that John Terry might be in the frame for a role. I would love that. That would have helped with the transition, wouldn't it? And John Terry has come out backing his credentials as well, which I do really appreciate. But if that's not meant to be, that's not meant to be. Right, he continues, or the article continues. Rosenior had a 16-year playing career spent primarily in the Premier League and the Championship, retiring in 2018 after 3 seasons with Brighton and Hove Albion. Because we bloody love a Brighton connection, don't we? We can't get a manager or a player or a sporting director or blow our nose without Brighton being involved in it somehow. He took up an academy coaching role at Brighton after retirement before being appointed specialist first-team coach under Philip Cocu at Derby County in 2019. That was before the Rooney thing. He took over as the interim at Derby for a little while, didn't he? And then was ousted for Wayne Rooney. Actually, I think it goes on to say here. He was promoted to an assistant under Wayne Rooney in 2021 and had a brief spell as interim manager after Rooney left the following year. Sorry, that's it. He left the side in September 2022 and was appointed by Hull City in November. Rosenior finished 15th in the Championship with Hull in his first season with the club and improved to 7th the following campaign, narrowly missing out on the playoffs, though he was sacked at the end of the season. So the whole thing's a little bit interesting, isn't it? Like, 15th to 7th is brilliant in pretty much all metrics and respects, you know, unless you're Ruben Amorim at Man United, by the way. 15th to 6th, not good enough for him to keep his job. But at the same time, a lot of people are going in on Rosenior was sacked from Hull. It's like my understanding of the brief bit of research I've done about that is that he left because of sporting differences about how he wanted the team to play versus how they wanted the team to play. And I don't think we've seen them in the Premier League since, so it's not exactly worked out for them, has it? Strasbourg appointed Rosenior as head coach in July 2024. And he led the side to the Conference League qualification in his first season, finishing 7th in Ligue 1. He signed a new 3-year contract in April. So this is another thing that I don't think many people are talking about. Like Strasbourg top of the Conference League at the moment, man, which is exactly where Chelsea were last season. Now, obviously, with Chelsea, you have to be top of the Conference League, didn't you? But to take Strasbourg into European competition after what was a really tumultuous time for Strasbourg, man. They were up and down promoted. Before Bluco bought them, they were like up and down, relegated, promoted, you know, 7th place finish, basically. But apart from that, it was all like 10th and lower. Like, they weren't doing particularly well at all. Rosenior said on Saturday that he would have been an alien to not acknowledge the speculation linking him with the Chelsea job. The Athletic reported on Monday that former Wolverhampton Wanderers and Bournemouth coach Gary O'Neill was in talks to succeed Rosenior at Strasbourg. So that's kind of it, man. That's kind of it. It's, you know, it's going to happen. It's going through. He's going to be the Chelsea manager. How do I feel about that? So, do you know what? Honestly, like, if you just look at the appointment in isolation, it doesn't look amazing, does it, at the end of the day? Chelsea are an absolutely massive club, and we are used to the Jose Mourinhos, the Carlo Ancelottis, do you know what I mean? The Contes, the Tuchels, the winners, the absolute winners that come in. But the thing is, what appointing Liam Rosenior isn't necessarily just indicative of the change that's going on at Chelsea. If you look at football, the footballing world, I've spoken about this a few times already, young and upcoming managers are the new thing. Do you know what I mean? We are fast moving out of this period where these title-winning managers are just everywhere. Like, I was literally thinking about this the other day. It was only like 3 or 4 years ago, we had all of them in the Premier League. At one point we had Mourinho, Pep Guardiola, Klopp, Ancelotti. Like, it was absolutely mad. There was like 7 or 8 title-winning managers. Like, Ancelotti was at Everton. Do you know what I mean? Ancelotti was literally at Everton. Must be 4 or 5 years ago now, sorry. But, you know, that was kind of the end of the era. Do you know what I mean? When all of these managers were all in the Premier League, that was kind of the beginning of the end. And if you look at the Premier League right now, Pep Guardiola is the only massive winner, closely followed by Unai Emery, really, probably the next guy in the Premier League that's like got a lot of winning credentials behind him. And he's not a particularly old manager, but then you look at Tottenham went for Thomas Frank, Man United went for Ruben Amorim, although he's just been sacked, but it doesn't look like, you know, they're talking about maybe Maresca, or they're probably not going to hire an Antonio Conte or someone like that. You know, Chelsea, you know, we've just gone from, obviously since Bluco, we've had Graham Potter, which was absolutely awful, but before that we had Frank Lampard had a little spell as well, and there's, you know, it's just one of those things, man, and even Liverpool aren't a slot, do you know what I mean? These big, massive winning managers aren't readily available anymore. So what we're looking at really is this upcoming manager, and every single one's going to be a gamble. Absolutely every single one's going to be a gamble. Like I say, bar Pep Guardiola at Man City, Luis Enrique at PSG, and Hansi Flick at Barcelona. Diego Simeone at Atletico Madrid, and he is kind of a winner, but they're not serial winners, do you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, he has, you know, he's made Champions League finals, he has won the league a couple of times, they've won cups, you know, but that's literally it. We're talking about like a handful of top tier winning coaches left available in the world, and even less who would be willing to leave their current positions for a Premier League job at the end of the day. Because like I say, man, this model that Chelsea are doing at the moment, we are definitely hitting it harder than anyone else is. But the model across football is changing. Do you know what I mean? Like, interestingly, although they've got the manager in tow, look at PSG. PSG just won the Champions League. They've got one of the youngest squads in the world. It is also sprinkled with a bit of experience, and they've got a title-winning manager, but it's very much put together by the sporting directors. Do you know what I mean? This is a real big thing that's happening now. And even if you look at Arsenal with Arteta, like, yes, he's doing really well now, but he was a complete unknown. He didn't have a Premier League job before he went to Arsenal. He was backed, he was given time, and now they're doing well because of it. So it's just a really complicated one, and it's because of that, and the distinct massive amount of negative energy that's been surrounding Chelsea for the last week in particular. I'm just ready to back Rosenior, man. I know that sounds maybe a bit churlish and maybe a bit what's the word I'm looking for? Naive. Sorry, maybe it's a bit naive, but at the same time, I'm just like, I'm a Chelsea fan, man, and I want to watch football, and I'm ready to back my manager. The thing is, we can look at the credentials of Liam Rosenior in terms of what he's won and say, yeah, okay, that doesn't match. And I agree with that. Do you know what I mean? I agree with that. It doesn't match the expectations of Chelsea fans, and it's not necessarily like when you hire a Jose Mourinho or a Tuchel or a Conte, you're like, oh, okay, cool, we're probably going to win something because they've won something before. But like I say, that's just not where football is anymore, man. It's changing across the board, and we are at the forefront of it because we are just doing it on steroids, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm just ready to back him. Like, I love an underdog. That's the other truth about this as well. I absolutely love an underdog. I loved it when Frank Lampard came in, massively because of the Chelsea connection, but also because he was an underdog with an underdog squad that was full of young players, and he got a really good result out of it. At the end of the day, Liam Rosenior is a better manager than Frank Lampard was, and he's got more experience, and he's ultimately currently at the top of a league that could get him the European trophy. It could have gotten him a European trophy at the end of the year, albeit a low quality one. So this is it, man. Like I say, I am just ready to back Rosenior now, and I think that I'm gonna put on my copium hat, my copium hat that I always wear. Whenever I'm wearing this hat, it's probably because I'm looking for copium, and I'm looking at what he's achieved at Strasbourg and trying to find ways that I see that could work at Chelsea. There's a couple of things already, right? Like, and do you know what, actually, before I get into that, there is one thing that I will say. Vis-a-vis, the owners, the model, all of that, we can back Rosenior and hate the owners at the same time. Even though he's a company man, even though it's all together, at the end of the day, he's come in to be the Chelsea manager. He's essentially walked away from a job he was doing very well at, and I don't think he's lying in that presser when he said that there's other Champions League clubs involved in him as well. If another Champions League club would have gone and got him, do you know what I mean? We wouldn't be having we wouldn't be being like, oh, he's woefully underqualified for them. So it's just one of them, isn't it? And like I say, man, I think we can back Rosenior and hate the owners at the same time. If you're going to go and do the protest, go and do the protest because you want to see change. Absolutely 100% appreciate that. But let's not make a toxic environment for Liam Rosenior. If you're a game goer, which I'm not, I'll be completely honest, but if you're a game goer, and, my suggestion, because that's all I can do, as someone who doesn't go to the games, I can't tell anyone what to do, but I will suggest that if you have a banner or you have something to shout or you have something to say, direct it at Egbali, direct it at Bluecoat, who are ultimately the ones that are kind of tearing apart the fabric of our club as far as we know it. But Rosenior's the manager now, and he's the one who's got to take the squad out into those matches, and losing matches is not going to help. Do you know what I mean? I just want to see us do well again. So what about Liam Rosenior could work? We've talked about the negative stuff, right? His credentials aren't exactly amazing, but what could work? And the truth of the fact is, weirdly, in a backhanded way, the fact that he is a yes man is probably going to work in his favour. Maresca was a proposed yes man. Maresca was presented with the model and the idea and said, I will do that. I will work under these conditions. He got 18 months into it and decided that he couldn't work under these conditions. And the thing is, what I will give Maresca, right? This is probably, he didn't come out for the press conference in the Bournemouth game, and maybe the final straw was taking Cole Palmer off at 60 minutes and having the fans chant, "You don't know what you're doing." Because if things are to be believed, that was something that he was told, but via the model, that he had to do because of from the medical staff, because Cole Palmer's not supposed to be playing more than 60 minutes. Okay, do you know what? I'll say, yeah, fair enough. But the fact that Liam Rosenior is already this company man, not only has he been presented with the model and said, can you work under this? He's been working under it at Strasbourg for all of this time. The sporting directors have been picking his players and his squad for him, and he's just been getting on with it. He has been working, probably, I would imagine, this is speculation, but I would imagine that the medical thing is probably the same. It just seems pertinent, doesn't it, that the model will, the corporation will make all of their clubs work under that same model, because it's all data driven, isn't it? And, they trust their medical staff and whatever. So at the end of the day, that is something that might work in his favour. The other thing that could work in his favour is that he just likes working with youth. Strasbourg have the youngest squad in the big 5 leagues. They have a younger squad than Chelsea do. He's been working with less experience at that Strasbourg side than he has with Chelsea. And yes, we've got a very young side, but he's going to come in with Moises Caicedo, Marc Cucurella, Enzo Fernandez, Bobby Sanchez, do you know what I mean? Some players that, albeit reasonably young, have experience now. And that will help him bridge the gap from the Strasbourg level to the Chelsea level, I would hope. The other thing is, he's turned around some players that we have just cast off completely. Do you know what I mean? Andre Santos was struggling to get into the team when we bought him. He went on loan to Nottingham Forest and struggled to get into the team there. Came back, went on loan to Strasbourg for half a season and started getting game time. And then it was decided that he'd stay there for another season. Liam Rosenior turned around the fortunes of Andre Santos because it wasn't looking good. I'm not going to lie. He wasn't getting into the Chelsea team. He was very young and he couldn't get into the Nottingham Forest team. And ultimately, it was looking like we'd bought another dud. But we sent him over to Strasbourg. Liam Rosenior gets hold of him. And now look at how well he played in the Man City game, man. There's a real player there. Another really interesting one, Diego Moreira. Diego Moreira was one of the random Brazilian youngsters that was actually getting opportunities in the Chelsea team when we had him. I think Poch played him a couple of times. I think Enzo tried him once, maybe twice at the beginning of it and was just like, no, absolutely not interested, get rid of him. And he went to Strasbourg. And now, Diego Moreira is one of the top players in that league. And yes, there's a difference. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, there is a massive difference between the French league and the Premier League. Of course there is. But he's still massively improved to the point where he's, fighting for a European trophy and 7th in Liga at the moment. So already, Liam Rosenior has taken some of the cast-offs that Maresca and Pochettino weren't interested in and turned them into really good players. Another thing that I quite like about Liam Rosenior is evidently he's pretty good with a striker. Their 2 strikers at Strasbourg, Panicelli and Emmanuel Omega, are wicked. Both of them. They're really, really good. I'd be happy to see either of them up front for Chelsea at the moment. And it's the question, isn't it? You can just say, oh yeah, but Panicelli and Omega are better than the 2 that we've got in João Pedro and Liam Delap. And I'm like, well, maybe even Mark Gue, actually. That'd be interesting to see. And I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe that is the case. But also maybe they weren't until they were managed, and then they were. So I think, that, and obviously as well, Emmanuel Omega is going to be coming to Chelsea at the end of the season, so Rosenior is going to get to work with another striker that he knows quite well. So that's a promising thing, because one of the most difficult things about being a Chelsea fan for me for the last couple of years has been watching our strikers just flop and fail. And I say that's pretty harsh on Nicholas Jackson. He had a great first season, and last season was okay. I think it was 12 goals. But ultimately, Panicelli's already on 11, 12 goals in half of the season. Do you know what I mean? So it's not necessarily completely transferable. We will definitely find out in the coming future. But Liam Rosenior seems to be better at managing strikers than Maresca was as well. And ultimately, having a front man that can put goals away is something we feel like we've been missing for a really long time. The fact that Nicholas Jackson is our only striker since Diego Costa to score that many goals is mad. So striker has just been a huge, huge problem for Chelsea for a while. And A, Rosenior will be getting Emmanuel Omega, and B, maybe, look at Liam Delap under Callum McFarlane. Yes, he had his WWE moment where he, I can't remember who it was, but he literally Kuznov, wasn't it? He launched Kuznov into the back, and that's not cool. He needs to sort that out. But even Callum McFarlane seemed to get more of a tune out of Liam Delap than Enzo Maresca's been able to. So I just think it's interesting, man. I just think it's interesting. You never know. The thing is, what we are really going to see, right? Because what we are all in agreement of is, as of right now, in this moment, Liam Rosenior doesn't seem to be as good as a prospect as Enzo Maresca was. But we might see some very quick differences about players that Enzo Maresca was misusing. Already, if the way that Callum McFarlane and the way that Liam Rosenior plays in Strasbourg is anything to go by, Malagusto is going to stop playing every single position on the pitch apart from right back, which is actually what he's really good at. And we've seen in the PSG game, we saw in the Pochettino, Malagusto, wicked right back. So maybe we see a little bit more of an orthodox right back role for Malagusto, which could ultimately unlock players like Esteval, like Cole Palmer, that have got more license to drift inside and aren't having to hug that byline quite so much. You know, it'll be, Andre Santos already, with McFarlane we saw, Andre Santos came on and was a game changer against Man City. We already know that Andre Santos has got an amazing relationship with Liam Rosenior, therefore, maybe we can expect to see more out of him as well. Our midfield depth has been in the bin because we've been missing Lavia and Asugo, but also Andre Santos has barely been getting a sniff. Yoro Hato is another player that we're just not seeing. Do you know what I mean? We're absolutely just not seeing. What I don't know is, you know, how well Liam Rosenior will do with the likes of Garnacho and Jamie Gittins. Like, there are obviously problems across the pitch as well. But I think it will be really interesting to see. I think our depth that we've actually got quite a lot of will start getting more game time. Like, we've all written off the likes of Yoro Hato from our minds just because he's not been getting game time at the end of the day. But we already saw he got half the game, half an hour of the game against Man City. If Cucurella is not completely ready to play at Fulham tomorrow, then maybe he gets some time against Fulham as well. And all of a sudden, our squad starts to look a little bit deeper, doesn't it? So look, this is a copium-led rant from me. I've just looked at the time and realised it's been going on for quite a while, so I will start wrapping it up now. But ultimately, what I am saying is I back Liam Rosenior, and I hope that things can just work out, man. Look, I'll be the first to be like, this isn't going well, is it? At the end of the day, my barometer, I wasn't even Maresca out at the end of the day. I had loads of issues with Maresca as well, man, loads. And if you've watched my content before, you will absolutely know about all of them. But I wasn't Maresca out. The only time in recent memory I've wanted a manager out was Graham Potter. He had no character. The win percentage was 38%, which was absolutely atrocious. Like, nowhere near good enough for Chelsea manager, albeit still better than Ruben Amorim at Man United. But ultimately, like, Graham Potter is the level that makes me say, get him out. Do you know what I mean? Other than that, less than 50%, I guess. 50% win ratio needs to be the minimum, really, because that's kind of what we've had in our successful managers, minimum since Antonio Conte, when we last won the league. So that's it, guys. I'm going to wrap it up there. But ultimately, like I say, I am backing Liam Rosenior, and I would love to know what all you guys think about it as well. Thanks very much for sticking around until the end of the video if you did, and I will catch up with you all very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.